All right, this is our special meeting, January 16th, 2020, Timberland Regional School Budget Committee meeting after the public hearing. So Jeff, can you please call the roll?
Michael Mascola.
I'm here.
Tom McCord. Here. Peter Velo.
To the best of my knowledge, I'm here.
Julie Hammond.
Here.
David Burns.
Yep.
John Hughes.
Here.
Last time. What's that about that? David? And David?
Here.
Ryan? Here. Kathy Norman? Bill Sherwood? What's absent? Very well.
All right, so we're going to skip over approval of minutes, and we're going to jump to, let me back up. I want to give this 2 for 2. Pledge of Allegiance. Flag right there. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So again, I'm going to skip over the approval of the minutes for right now so we can conduct the new business of the warrant discussion. And that way Brian can get over there with his school board meeting faster.
Thank you.
So, what do we have here? So,
The bottom of the pile.
yeah. So what questions does anybody have regarding these articles? We look at one at a time. You can jump to one. I'll ask, because there's conversation going around. So when we had our last school board, when we had our last budget meeting, we directed Jeff to go find about $250,000. Is that correct?
Oh,
What was the number?
was it additional?
Initially, it was $1 million, and then it was another $500,000.
No. When we took your spreadsheet,
Yep.
we said go find another, I think it was $250,000 we want them to go reduce it by.
There's more than that.
You know, it was more than that. It was like $500,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
$500,000.
I think you asked me to find $1 million. I came back with $500,000. I think
Yep.
you wanted me to
That's right.
go after the rest.
Okay. And so, and he did, and he met that number of 73.9. But then the school board had a meeting after ours, and so, and when we left our meeting, we were gonna have a difference of the proposed to the default with a spread of about 1.3. Then the school board had their meeting after ours, and they made some adjustments to their default after our budget meeting. And so, Brian, you guys adjusted by about 450,000?
2,900 lines.
Yep, the 2,900 line. So now our spread's upwards of just
One-
north,
1.8.
1.8022, something about there. You guys staying with that number?
Yeah, that's right. Our understanding of the way the default law works, these benefits. So.
How so, though? I mean,
They're employee benefits.
yeah, but it says right in the RSA, eliminated positions.
No,
We
well,
didn't eliminate positions.
Any position that's funded, if there's 100 people, you need people for 100, you need all benefits of those people. So we went to all our school board training and stuff, they should pretty much match your salary line and your benefit line.
But we're not, on those lines, those are dollar amounts, they're not quantity of people amounts.
That's
Right.
fine. And
We
that's-
reduced it
and
based
that-
on
and-
trend.
we looked at the budget line, we're not talking about people either, we didn't reduce
Okay.
anybody.
Okay.
So, the numbers that Jeff gave us initially, and then he came 2 meetings ago and said, okay, I've revised, if you will, some 2,900 lines, so, okay, those are benefits, so we look at it that we have no choice.
Is it the school board's view that they want the budget, the proposed budget to be the one that passes and goes forward? They don't want to operate off of the default?
That's why we recommended it. We recommended this, the budget 7-2.
7 to 2, so 2 people did.
Correct.
Wait, repeat that again?
We recommended the budget 7-2.
Operating.
7 to 2.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So yes, the school board is pushing
For the proposed.
proposed budget,
Majority
absolutely.
of the school board.
Majority.
Yes,
All right.
pretty good majority.
So now we're up at 1.8, and so some of the concern was, is the spread getting big? Too
Yeah,
big?
and we still have that concern, and I guess it's, again, we look at it that our hands are tied. It's a salary
And a benefit.
and benefit line. If if it's proposed, like, we're now told that, you know, that it's, using these words, we get information from Jeff that can be reduced.
Jeff, what's your take on this?
Did you support this change?
He didn't support it, but he gave us the net, I mean, Jeff gave us the net, we didn't.
But Brian, I've read the RSA too, and we can all read. It says right in there,
Mhm.
salaries and benefits of eliminated positions. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yep.
It's the only mention of the proposed budget in the entire RSA,
Yep.
and there haven't been eliminated positions.
Right.
And you know full well that we went back 4 years, looked at trends, and that's where we came up with that reduction
Right.
in those lines. It had nothing to do with eliminated positions at all,
And we didn't say anything about limited
but
positions.
that's what's in the RSA.
Okay, and we're not, and that's not our interpretation and training what you, that's one line in the RSA.
Okay, so back to Michael's question. What's your take on it?
I will say that the school board has their budget, right? You guys that's your budget, and they have discretion over it. Typically, that, according to that statute, would be impacted, that line would be impacted by eliminated positions.
But this isn't eliminated positions.
Right.
So what's your take on it?
There were no eliminated positions, again, that's within the school board's purview. They
You know,
want to
also,
sort
nothing to say about the default.
That's
It
true.
is what it is.
Yeah.
The school
Okay.
board did it, we're not gonna change it.
No, we're
So-
just changing,
So-
just I just want to understand.
So, do we wanna, are we looking at cutting ours down?
No, it's
That's a good
fine,
point,
but
John.
just to be clear, I just wanted Jeff on the record. When we asked you to reduce that particular section of the budget, the 2,900,
Mhm.
the mentality behind that was expended versus voted, going back years,
Yep.
and then asking you to reduce the increase that you had already built in there to some extent to give us some leeway,
Mhm.
because the school board asked us not to touch capital, right? So we did that, right? And that's how you came to those numbers. It
Right.
wasn't from reducing salaries or anything like that.
But, Todd, you gave almost like, for lack of any words, a blueprint. You said, okay, you gave some ideas and potential direction.
Jeff.
To Jeff.
Yeah,
And I believe he was talking about don't touch capital,
right?
a salary, benefits. That's what he said.
No, I don't think I did. I had
I
a few line
I
items
mean,
in there
you
that
can't
were-
touch staffing without touching benefits, because unless there might be a handful of people that work here that might be extremely part-time that don't get benefits, but if you work here, you're getting benefits.
Right, Brian, but we had a certain amount that we voted for and then expended over time.
Yeah.
And then Jeff had a certain percentage that he builds in anticipation of an increase. We asked him to reduce that anticipation somewhat. We did not reduce, as a matter of fact, if you went back and look, I could show you the sheet from the PowerPoint where we actually went up $918,000 in salaries. So we certainly didn't eliminate any positions, nor did we touch
Neither did
any
we.
salaries.
And we've eliminated nothing, all the numbers that the school board voted on, not one number was generated by the school board, not one. Not one. So we took, and in Jeff's defense, he just said, at the last meeting, he just said not recommended it. Our understanding is employee benefits is tied to salaries, and it's, so if you work here, where's your benefits?
All right,
So your proposed budget, so getting back what John's saying, so this is this group, we're a proposed
Right.
budget, so is the current, are the current benefits too high?
So
for
that's what
these
we're gonna
salaries?
look at now, look. So we have an understanding where the default is. We're obviously not doing anything with the default.
Right.
All we can do is with our proposed.
Yep.
Do we feel that our spread now, we went from 1.3 to 1.8, is that too great to push in front of the voters? And so it's, again, it's that old code, is it better to have a little of something than a lot of nothing?
I think we should.
I go with that.
Hold on, I just wanna go around the room.
I go with, I'd rather go.
Alan, hold on, I just wanna get a sense. So what's your sense, John?
So, we debated about, which is something we typically don't do. We debated where we are in reference to default
Right.
process, which is something we haven't done in the past. We've never really looked at the default before.
Correct.
Well, we did last year.
Last year, prior years we had, so this is a new thing of us taking the default into account. Which I guess, I understanding the spread, but for me, I think what we built into the budget is what we need for capital,
Mhm.
and is, you know, so I don't wanna take anything more out. I think that we were where we are, especially looking at CIP and where we were at CIP.
So you were happy at the end of our last meeting?
Yes.
Where they had the number?
So I have 2 points on that, all right? The first is, you're right, that hasn't been traditionally what we've done, is compare our budget to default. Yet we did it last year and the proposed won the day, right?
Mhm.
And prior years, it did not, and we went on back-to-back default budgets.
But we sacrificed capital last year.
We did.
And I think a big driver of that last year was not driving it so much that the teacher contract wouldn't pass either.
Right.
And I think you saw a lot of support from administration coming in with their very low budgets and stuff, and we've seen that again this year too. So I think we started a trend on that side of it, but there are certain things we need to fund, and last year we didn't
I agree.
fund capital.
The one catch this year is that we lost $1 million in revenue.
Mhm.
Okay, so right now, we have $1.9 million built in for capital expenditures in our budget right now. And our spread between us and the default is 1.8. They have 500 built in there, right? And then another warrant article for another 500. So more than likely, that 500 that's built in the default is going to be going towards more like things we already know, right? Boilers, things like that, right? Not necessarily identified things on the CIP. So I guess the question is, what's more important to us? Having a proposed budget that has a shot at passing with a solid amount of capital in it versus shooting for the moon and then we end up with the default
Which has less.
and all we get is some boilers and they can't really do anything else. Unless that extra warrant article passes for another $500,000.
But what we don't know is what is that threshold? We
I-
won't know
I know.
until March.
We know it was $750 last year. That worked.
Correct. But we don't know what's in the voters' mind.
No, we don't.
We don't, so
We don't.
it's a gamble.
We sat on CIP, right, and we went through that whole list of things that we thought we were gonna get done this year, because we thought there was extra in this year's budget, right? And how much of that really got done? Because it wasn't what we thought, it wasn't the 1.2 million that was there. So, you know, so we went into we were in a CIP meeting where, you know, school board was gonna end up paying for all this stuff that needs to be fixed, and we prioritized it, because that stuff needs to be done. And it isn't, now we have roofs on there, you know, that, it's good, those big things should go to warrant article for the voters to choose, but there's a lot of other stuff that didn't get done that needs to be done, and I think that,
But the reason, I will tell you, there was a difference of opinion on the board. Because I was trying to come up with that idea about Article 6, if there's a default, and this kind of stuff. And I'm still betting on the majority voters, if they walk into the booth and they say, I can see people voting for a roof versus a kitchen renovation. I think people are gonna go, wait a minute, if these elected officials are telling us, I need a roof, we probably need a roof. So we were trying to keep it simple, you know, because people aren't gonna sit back over, you know. Yes, I looked up the Timberlane CIP. and
Which they won't.
That ain't gonna happen, so
And I know you believe, Brian, that, like I do, that not everyone's watching this. Not everyone's watching that.
I'll be disappointed if they're not.
And they're gonna show up
Oh, you might
and they're gonna
watch it.
see numbers,
Exactly.
Right.
right? And so I guess maybe I'd like to know what Alan, Peter, like,
Right.
what are you guys thinking
let's go
that
down
the
the line.
public would absorb, or would digest?
So Julie, we went from 1.3, now we're at 1.8.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's like a gamble. It's a gamble. I think if there's room to bring it down, I think that we should look at it, at lowering our proposal. I do. And I have a concern, and maybe you can, Brian, explain that to me on that Article 6. So if that does not pass, we can't fix the middle school roof, right?
Unless there's a
Emergency.
emergency.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
We can't
It'll be
proactively
an
fix
emergency.
it.
It will be.
No means.
Well,
no.
cause
Well,
I'm
there-
just sitting
there
here
was-
going,
there was a
well,
leak in the
jeepers,
middle
that
school
doesn't
gym.
pass, 'cause
And legally, I guess the way the law works is if something's an emergency, you can do it.
So would that leak in the roof over the middle school gym have
That,
consisted as or been an emergency?
that I couldn't tell you. I'd rather, instead of really trying to guess upon a guess,
Okay.
that was another method to our madness, that
Mhm.
basically it would be easier to sell. All it takes is one person to say, I'm pursued. Okay, well, looks like we'll get some people out there in Burns, we gotta fix the roof if that's how this thing goes now.
All right, Julie, is that?
right, well, I mean, yeah, I guess, or you could, or they could say, just fix that portion of the roof.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Whatever.
I'm just saying,
Mhm.
that doesn't make me super comfortable, but,
So your general thought is you think we should consider lowering hours?
yes, we have no control over the default.
No.
So, I think that we should think about it, I don't know, you know, if there's any wiggle room and,
This I just wanna make sure before we go on.
no,
around-
that's
to
how
go
I'm
around the
feeling,
room.
because I know they're just gonna look
Is-
at they're just
if-
gonna look at the numbers.
So there's a concern about the spread. Is there
Although I
any-
do not like that approach.
I don't either.
I do not like this approach.
Well,
At
I think
all.
it's being realistic though.
No, I understand it,
Because
but,
comfy.
but I don't think that that's the way you
You gotta
build a
take what you
budget.
can get and
I
move on.
really don't.
Right, so here's what I'm
Okay.
trying to say, before we even consider making any adjustments, the likelihood that the school board is going to adjust their default any more in any direction.
Well, he doesn't know because he's not over there.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. So here's my point, we're worried about 1.8, and so we come down, and you guys go back up. Is there any likelihood?
I have no inkling
But if
that they're gonna go back up.
So I have a
mean-
thought on
I mean,
that.
I'm
If that
just thinking,
happens-
I'm just hoping the 2900 lines match.
If that happens,
Opposed? Default.
if that happens, then we're that much closer and we have that much more of a chance of passing
Mhm.
what we
Right.
leave this meeting with, right?
Right,
Yep.
Right? So if the spread's 1.8 and somehow, some way they did decide to raise it up, and then we lowered it down, then our prior, I don't know,
It goes
let's say
from
we got it to
1.8 to
1.3 and then they came up,
See-
then we'd be at $1 million-ish.
And for those of you who don't even know, that we've already been sued today about the default. And we could be sued by somebody else, because we have 500 in the default. Someone else is spending, so why do you have 500 in default?
Well, those
This
aren't
is-
those identified replacements of
You can
boilers?
identify what you want, but you can someone could clearly argue, I'm not gonna say they're gonna
Bless
win,
you.
they could sue you for any reason.
Right.
And it's like, that's been, so, you know what, so that's why we, this year, we thought we did. The school will generate 0 numbers in that default, 0.
all right, let me go around, Alan, your 2
Well,
cents.
I think we should probably, the delta shouldn't be as much as 1.8. My question, when they did reduce it on the default side, that was in the benefit line, 2,900, that's where it all
Yeah.
came from.
Retirement and,
So now, are we gonna look at that line and say, hey, we're too high there? I mean, Jeff, I mean,
Oh, no. In this 2900?
yeah, I mean, that's what the default is, correct?
Correct.
no, theirs is identical to ours
Right,
now.
if we lowered ours again, I guarantee you,
They'll lower
at the
it.
next school board meeting, they're gonna lower theirs again.
Right.
Right,
It's
So are they
aiming for
the
the
same right
bottom.
now?
Okay.
yes.
So right
I'm just
now,
trying to
they're the
find,
same.
I wanna keep
So-
the CIP, I wanna
I know.
keep that CIP in there. I'm just, but the only place we can actually drop would be the CIP.
So the only way,
Correct, what you're telling me?
based on what Brian is saying and their interpretation of the workshops and the RSA, the only way they would raise their default up is if we raise those lines back up, the group insurance and the retirement.
But keeps
Then
itself-
they would have to mirror, he's saying they would have to mirror what we do. So-
Correct.
So we would have to raise, but then take more off of
Of the
capital.
sale, yeah, so, we're basically, where's that?
And
Yeah.
frankly,
That's where we're at.
I was comfortable, no offense, Jeff, I was comfortable with the reductions in those lines, based on,
Okay.
based on past expended, okay? And based on how much was in the surplus at the end of last year, so, well, I think motions are gonna get made here in a second, but I think we can safely reduce some of the capital to get back to a more reasonable go. I mean, look, it was already a risk at 1.3.
So what's-
We were already gonna be risking not winning at the polls with 1.3.
Can we go over the rest of the table?
Yeah, sorry.
You done?
Yeah.
Okay, so the way I see it is, right now, we're at 1.9 roughly in capital. They're at 500,000.
Yes.
Okay, ignore the warrant article. The warrant article will stand or fall on its own. It could stand on either budget or fall on either budget. So right now, we've got 1.9 versus 0.5. I don't want our budget to fail and that capital only be 500,000.
No.
No, that would be brutal.
Because that's where it'll be,
That'd be brutal.
okay? So I guess
We can't keep kicking the.
my thinking is, we reduce our to 1 million even,
Whoa.
which reduces the delta to 0.9, so it's just under 1 million. I wanna keep the just under 1 million delta.
It'd be
You want to reduce ours to 1 million?
Yes, from 1.9 to 1.0. So the delta now is
So it
1.8.
Would be 72,978.
Take a million, or
Yeah,
take
yeah,
900,000 off
so
your
0.8.
0.9,
Yeah,
0.9.
I mean, the number we had was a great number, because
Hold on,
you get a lot
hold on,
done,
hold
but.
on, hold
I
on, hold
agree.
on. That was yours. David, what's your 2 cents?
Well, having been on CIP and seen what projects have to be done and not done, and were not done, and we've been running, I'm really not, first off, I'm not at all comfortable with basing what we do on the delta between our budget and the default.
I don't think anybody's
I
comfortable
don't,
with that.
Yeah, I can all agree.
Don't
with
like
that.
it.
I
This is-
don't
this is
like it.
reality.
I don't agree with it, but I don't agree with it.
Okay, well, let's leave it at
And
73.
for that approach. But we worked very hard to create a number and asked Jeff to come up with some information to support that number, that what we have right here. And you're saying, okay, so we're gonna get nervous about the delta between the 2 budgets. But the fact is that we're gonna end up, if we follow your idea of reducing $1 million off of the,
No, to 1 million, we're just gonna get by 900K,
but
close enough.
900, you know, the fact is, once again, needed projects are not gonna be funded unless something blows up and they have to take it from emergency funds. I don't,
But if our budget fails, it goes to 500K.
All right, so, where you tell, what are you thinking?
I'm just thinking we stick with the number we have.
You're saying stick with the number we have.
Yeah. Because we worked hard to create, this is not smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
This was based on real experience, real history, and real need.
I get it, but what we're looking at here is what we worked on, and we're at the last minute now. What do we think the voters will support?
What's the appetite? I have a question.
Go for it.
Watching the default budget, I was not aware, I don't know if everybody here was aware, that we get $1 million back every year for the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
I
a
did not,
surprise.
We talked about that.
I missed that. So why would we do a default, another bond if we
Yeah.
can get that kind of participation?
Because you need 60% vote.
And
But
Yeah.
if the net's gonna be
People are aware of that. I wasn't
$600,000.
aware of
Just
that.
bear with me, stop.
Yeah.
You
We're
get-
not gonna get a bond
You get it.
this year. So
Correct.
if we're gonna do a bond, let's,
Exactly. You've
let's
done
see
it
a year
right.
out.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but we would be in the back of the line to
You got
receive
it.
revenue.
Yeah.
Because there's other schools that weren't in the bond process
Yeah.
who are ahead of us now in projects they're gonna go for, right? With the new law, so there's no guarantee that we would
Yeah.
even
Specific
get
year.
it for
Yeah.
next year, right? I
But
mean,
they aren't funding bonds the way that they used to.
right, they're doing it by project, right?
So let's just do this.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked, now I remember what we talked about now.
They're funding it up front.
Okay.
Bonds are not something for this
You're
election.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I get you, but I was just, I'm sorry.
Stick with this next year.
And to be honest, Alan, now Sandown and Danville are the biggest recipients of this, but the education grant, if you noticed in that little stack
Way
up there,
down.
we did lose $1 million, but that went up
You guys, Sandown almost got $1 million.
almost $1 million.
On,
So-
all to yourself.
So you know that little thing at the end where it went, million, nothing? There was 11 up top and it was 999 back down here, so while, yes, we're not receiving the $1 million this year, or for next year's budget,
Correct.
it still kind of trues itself out just a little bit.
Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. Moving around, David, you got your 2 cents in. I think we've heard yours. I'm more in line where I like the approach of where we came up with a number to be happy. I am concerned about the spread. I have no idea what the appetite of the voters is. So with that being said, we can beat around the bush. We should look for some motions to see where we can start guiding ourselves into.
Can I give my little 2 cents?
Please.
Oh, you count too?
Yeah. It's gonna shock you. I agree with Peter.
You're a logical kind of guy,
Yes.
sometimes.
Write that down.
And I think, and what the big unknown is every year, well, last year we had 4 million in surplus. You're gonna have at least 2 million in surplus. We are gonna, as a board, make sure we know that sooner or later. You're gonna see some of these projects done.
Correct.
That there won't be money turned back. There won't be any of this 4 million
On
going
either,
back.
on either budget, you're saying?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Okay, that's
So
good. That's
what I'm
I'm
saying is that,
Let's spend it.
is that-
money. That's what I'm
oh,
saying.
we will do that.
Spent a lot of it last year.
So what I'm saying is that I like where Pete's going. I mean, and as far as I'm concerned, I'd rather have as much money as possible to put into the buildings. I'd rather walking in and saying, boy, there's a 99% chance I'm gonna have $1 million versus there's a 75% chance I'm gonna have 500. And then if we grab some money out of the surplus and we can get another, then we're in pretty good shape. You know, we've got, like those CIP project went through, we're gonna quickly catch up on the stuff that the staff has been talking about for 2 or 3 years. Now you gotta go look beyond that.
So you think that's the
We only
will-
have so many boilers, we only have so many roofs,
You think
guys.
that's the will of the board, is to not turn the money back to the towns, but to use it?
I know that's the will of the board.
And how do you get around capital
Because it's emergency.
No,
and
no,
how
no.
it's raised,
Yeah, that's,
and transferring money out that isn't already capital?
is that an issue?
Well, I guess depends what it is. It could be a repair.
There's a difference in tax.
Yeah, but it could be treated as a repair versus a capital,
So,
right?
so last year, there was
Which were they
4
really?
million
Yeah.
roughly.
Repairs. These
That's
these
it.
buildings are falling apart.
What was the split, operating versus capital?
At the, there wasn't very much left in capital.
Right.
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 At the end, there was
Probably
not.
never is.
Well, we didn't know until the end.
Yeah.
And then what I'm saying is that we're already asking about that right now. You know,
Good.
as soon as you can come up with that, so you can, I think you can argue a lot of those things are repairs.
I moved
We're
that
not
Peter makes a
putting
motion.
additions on.
Right.
Okay, I just want to address David, and David, I agree with you, and I don't think that we should build our budget
Off of the-
banding it against the default, but I don't think that we did that either. We didn't build this number
No.
comparing it to the default, but to Michael's point, here we are. And now, like you said, we have to think, what is the best way for us to get a team win here? Right, based on what we know and based on what we've seen voters do, and it's kinda now, we don't really have a choice, cause the gap's so huge.
And I will say, that capital number wasn't formulated anywhere.
No.
It was like, well, that's a good number, it's
Yeah.
less than 2. and
Exactly.
That's right, exactly.
So,
I was gonna say
I will
that
say
earlier.
that, you know, it
Exactly.
wasn't
It
a
was
number,
the
it
pie
didn't
in
come
the
from
sky number.
CIP, because CIP didn't have his act
Hold
together.
on.
Yeah.
Because we
I
didn't
see,
have the
that's-
facilities.
What did you have?
So questions for Brian, and I don't think you can, I don't think you're empowered to fully answer it, but I gotta tell you, I kind of feel that the school, in reducing the default, the school board kind of screwed the budget committee. Okay, I don't think it was required, and
We weren't
I
happy.
thought,
All I can tell you.
anyhow, that's fine, that's the past.
Mhm.
Looking forward, I want you to tell me that if we drop the capital by 900,000, at your next meeting, you're not gonna drop the
No.
default by
No.
900,000. I have your word
You have my word.
that you'd at least vote against it.
Unless you're
You-
sued.
Oh, yeah, it's up to.
So I don't wanna,
If
I don't wanna
the-
lock you in.
If the person with the black robe wants,
comes
they
the
can
judge.
knock themselves
I don't
out.
wanna lock you
I just
in.
wanna know that you'll vote against that.
Because you're trying to understand what our intent is.
'Cause- so
Well, I know what my
I
intent
think
is
we're all
too.
on-
I've been
I
trying
think
to
we're
put
on the
money
same
into
page,
this,
right?
so no one should be
For
challenging
me
me.
to make that motion, could I?
Sure.
I would like to make a motion to reduce the school board miscellaneous line by $100,000.
I'll second that.
The school board miscellaneous line, is this for the withdrawal?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that there's a citizen's petition to put it back in.
All right, so hold on, you're making the motion.
That's what it is.
And I second it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Peter seconded.
Hmm?
So give us your rationale.
My rationale is, now that it's a warrant article, it's out there for the voters to decide. And since we're talking about reducing the all-important capital that we all agreed was the most important thing, and now we're talking about reducing it to the tune of half, that we should get every bit that we can. And I think that that 100,000 already covers us for the exact purpose that it's in that line
For the warrant article.
for the warrant
And
article.
the chances of that surviving that are slim to none on the floor.
But you don't know that.
I
Okay.
do have a question.
I'll take that, but
So
Stop,
that-
you don't think, let me back up, you don't think that warrant article will survive on the deliberative?
God, no.
Why is that?
Because you're trying to vote against it, you're trying to vote against the withdrawal. That's how, like I told you before the meeting
No,
tonight.
no.
That's how it's being worded. That's how it's being.
How's
so,
that?
What
If
am I-
anyone's paying attention, they could see that we're already including
No.
$100,000 in the budget.
You got it, so it's already there. So there are those who might think no means no.
Well, that's it. So
That's
it's
what they're
already-
gonna try.
But it's already
Good
there.
luck with that.
So that was my question about that.
Well, it's already there.
If
That
it
can be
votes
taken
no,
on the
you
floor.
can't spend that 100,000 that's already in the budget.
No,
Because the voters voted no to spending 100,000, even raising, so.
on that warrant.
On the warrant article, but if you already have it in the budget, can you spend on withdrawal at all?
I don't think you can because someone could put a petition in saying, I want to increase athletics by 600, and people go, no. So we get rid of athletics at Timberlake?
No, well, that's what I'm just.
I don't think so.
You know, that
You
was-
couldn't spend the 100,000 in the warrant.
Right.
Right.
But if that warrant gets decimated at deliberative, somebody can add 100 to the budget at deliberative. And if we're predicting how the voters are gonna vote, I feel that budgeting money in anticipation of something that may or may not pass isn't really in the best interest of everyone. I mean, we don't do it for fire trucks, we don't do it for police stations in any of the towns. You don't budget the money ahead of what you think the voters are gonna do or not do. This way, we're looking for every little dime that we can pull out of this thing to bridge the gap between our budget and the default budget so that we have a winning proposed budget.
Well, what if that budget, that is voted no? What if people see that 100,000 on a separate article and don't really think, oh, it's tied to that and vote no on it?
But it is tied to
Hello,
it.
I have to give you guys some input because.
Watch this, they're changing the default right now.
No, we're not changing the default. Can you
Okay.
guys flip to Article 6?
The roof.
The roof. That warrant article's not written correctly. That should say, should Article 1 fail, meaning should the proposed budget fail.
I couldn't
Right.
figure out why.
Yeah, I did.
That was-
Right,
never
I thought it
I don't
did.
know why, no, it's not in there, so.
Oh, is
we
that
don't
Oh.
want-
why?
Yes, that's,
Okay.
and so you guys should not be predicating the fact that we're adding 500,000 to the, it should say, only should the operating budget fail,
Fail.
we would like to raise or appropriate this.
Okay.
But you can't change the wording of this at this point.
Change on the floor. I'd love it.
No, it's changing the intent.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah.
Not according to Jim O'Shaughnessy.
Oh, okay, well, Shaughnessy's good with
He's
it.
sitting right over there.
If he's good with it-
Come and tell you guys.
If he says it, I'm good with it.
Just to clarify, if it does change on the floor, everyone will get to vote on it.
Yes.
If anything changes, really, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, if the wording changes at all, we re-vote it, so this would have to be re-voted.
Yeah.
But our intent was, I don't know what happened. I didn't have time to
Got it.
preview this. It's this, that's the intent of the board is, should they, so don't take 500,000 out, because Jim just pointed out, they may be sitting over there taking a $500,000 out, because they
Not
think
based
it's
on
a
this.
separate warrant article, and that's not it.
No, but that actually affects.
Thank you.
I didn't read that. I didn't read
That's
it. That was that.
That's
I didn't
only
read
if-
that.
that's only if we have-
That was.
Right.
All right, hold on, hold on.
That's
We have a
what-
motion on the floor. We have a motion on the floor to pull out 100,000.
Yes.
And you going through your rationale and,
Totally.
so we pull out the 100,000, but we have that other warrant article that says put in the 100,000.
Yes.
Right. So that'll, if we vote for this, it will allow us to leave another 100,000 in the capital.
Yes.
So instead of reducing it to 1, you reduce it to 1.1.
Yes.
I just had some reservations about it being a citizen's petition. The petitioner themselves, that's associated with it, has tried to raise the budget in the past. People, have voted against it. It just, there's some association there that I feel that some people might vote against it just because of a name attached. I mean, just to be honest. And it's separate. They're not even near each other because one's down here and one's up here. So as people go down through and yes, withdrawal, and then no, I don't $100,000 for that.
But it references the withdrawal.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm just saying it's a separate one. So if it fails, we don't have any money if withdrawal passes. So that was the part of it having it in there. If it passes and people and the voters vote down the default, then it is what it is. Well,
Alexander, what do you want more? What do you want more?
I wanted 100,000 associated with the withdrawal, but
I mean,
I
what do you want?
couldn't do that.
Do you want another 100,000 for capital more?
Those aren't related.
Yeah, they're not really related, it's not capital, and,
Oh, sure it
so
is.
now we just found out, I mean, this is separate, but, it'll go to the capital discussion, but, I've already made my, my opinion on this, through the whole process here, so I'm not gonna add any more to it.
Understood.
Go to somebody else.
I'm just looking to try to get as much possible capital. I mean, I'm disappointed that we can't have 1.9, but I just don't, it's not possible. So any little bit, and I'd rather have $100,000 in our budget that funds something for the school buildings, considering that there's a warrant article that may or may not pass, or may not be decimated at deliberative, but a lot can happen at deliberative. Brian just looked at that $500,000 and said, oh, that'll be taken care of at deliberative. So, I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen at deliberative, but things can
Or
be
500,000.
changed there. Someone could add another 100,000 to the budget there.
Oh, yeah, I mean, because that was a typo. I can tell you right now, that was a typo.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's, anyone watching our meetings, that's not, so.
That's only the effective, that's okay.
All right, Jeff, can you just read back that motion?
Well, part of reading back the motion, I don't know if you'd accept a maybe friendly amendment. You've made a motion to reduce school board miscellaneous line by $100,000. I know that line is the line that the funding is in, right, for that study. However, would you mind instead, it's actually classified as like other expenses. Would you mind if it was just, instead of being the miscellaneous line, the school board account 2319890?
Yes.
That's
fine.
good.
Is that okay? Okay. So now the motion will read to, motion to reduce school board account 2319.890 by $100,000. Motion by Peter, second by Todd.
No.
Motion by Todd, second by Pete.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, and that's right here. Yeah, I actually have it correct.
Okay. Everybody understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody have any other questions? You know what this is gonna do, right? Its intent? All right, so all those in favor of this motion, please raise your hand. Hold them up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5, okay. So
And
five
then
to do that.
opposed? 1, 2, 3. So that motion passes. So we're gonna remove 100,000 off that account number, ending in 38.4. All right. So now we're back to this delta between the two budgets,
Is that much?
which was 1.8. Now it's closer to 1.7.
So based on his math, we were looking at 72,975,000, we'd have $1,000,001.
Yeah.
So our new budget would be 72,975.
Wouldn't it be?
Whoa, what are you talking
Whoa,
about?
whoa.
73.
You're taking $1 million
Okay.
off.
No.
No, he's right. It would be, what did you say, 72 what?
72,975.
No, now it would be 72,875. Oh, wait.
No.
I'm sorry.
73,875.
Thank
Sorry.
you. You guys have accountants here, right?
No, I'm going right to the bottom
No,
line.
please, let's just
No.
stop. All we did so far is we took out 100,000.
Okay, well, I've already passed that.
Okay, fine.
I agree with you. We already
We're just trying to smart you.
Alan's in
We're
his
not as
car,
fast.
on his way home.
Slow down for us.
Cheese and crackers. Okay, so now,
That's what I just said, so our delta was 1.8, now our delta's 1.7-ish. So now the question is, what do we wanna do, if anything, to that delta? From what I heard, people wanna do something.
But does the change that we just heard, that the expectation of Article 6 is only there if the operating fails? That's so that means the expectation is that $500,000 from the roof is coming out of what we already have in there for capital.
Yes,
So there'll be,
as it's worded, yes.
as it will be worded,
Mhm.
because I'm assuming there's gonna be a motion by the school board to make a change to that article.
Can
Right.
we or the school, can you make the motion to do that at deliberative, or do you have to wait for someone to come up to the mic and do that?
Oh, sure, we can.
Yeah.
Okay. And for the purposes of tonight, we're voting on these warrant articles after this. Are we gonna just vote, all of us vote no for that, 'cause of the way it's
Well,
worded?
no, but here's the thing, I think you do run a risk that it may not be able to be changed, right? You always run that risk, so when you take a vote, your vote is what it is, and if it can't be changed because it impacts the
Intent?
intent, then whatever way you vote on it as written, I would say that's how you
We
vote.
just heard legal say
Yeah,
that
but-
it can't be changed.
I'm just saying, you never know,
Right, no, I'm just, so.
so I just wanna, if it's a protest
Yeah,
vote or.
and all the stuff we had at meetings, this was clearly a typo, so someone could be legally.
I watched the meeting the
Did
other
you?
night, and
Who printed it out?
you clearly said in the meeting
Yeah, yes.
that
yes.
it was if
It was, yeah.
the proposed fails.
Yeah.
You, cause you are the one that did that brought it up to the floor at the school board meeting the other night. Yeah.
Alright, so let's get back to our focus here. What are we looking to do for an adjustment on our proposed, if any?
I think we wanna take the 1.9 and reduce it to 1.1. So we wanna reduce by 800,000.
Right, so that there's just under $1 million difference.
Right.
How about 868,000?
What are you looking at?
Why
Are you
868?
So I'm
at
looking
one
at
line?
building maintenance.
Yeah.
It's currently in there at 1,768,200. So we do
Okay.
868,200. That's 900 left in that line, and then 150 in the site maintenance.
I'm good with that.
What-
But you're still
what
over
line?
7,300.
I'm looking at the 4,600.450. It's in the last page.
Wait a minute, last page of what?
I know, it's
Page 7 of 7.
in
Yeah.
our
the
package
budget.
from tonight.
Right.
What's the line item?
Page, it's 4,600,
4,600.
Keep going.
It's all the way to the right. So yeah, we do have 1.9 million in capital, but it's made up of the 1.7 plus the 150
Okay.
in site maintenance.
Yep.
So rather than touch both lines and do anything for site maintenance,
Just take it out of the building.
take it out of the building maintenance and keep it, I mean, we could either keep it even and take a straight 800 or take 868,200 off, or
Let's round it.
we could, go ahead, Ellen.
Well, I hate to be, but, I'd like to be under 73. And I think, if you're only doing that number, I think you're gonna be over 73.
But
Just-
you're still less than the
I
previous.
got you, I'm just trying,
It's a
to get
less
something out of
budget than
nothing.
what was voted last
I got you, my brother. It's an optic thing.
year. But like, when you look at this budget compared to last year's budget, then it was only a 1.23% increase. So now you're gonna actually be less than last year's budget.
Okay.
No
I mean, if you
matter-
guys,
even if you're.
so
at
what's that
73.
number do if we do that, Todd? What are you coming up with?
What do you wanna pull it, Todd?
868,200.
Minus 8682.
73 million.
Yeah.
73 million.
73,006,800.
It's also, a little close to that.
Delta.
I was at
is-
75,000, I said 73, 75.
Delta is.
Alan, you wanna take 876 out, don't you?
The Delta is.
Yeah, that's what, you want to take 876, so this number,
Goes under
it
73.
goes just under 73.
And that's his optics
Which is,
for,
and that makes sense, because like,
It does.
when I was originally using round numbers,
Yeah.
I was thinking just under 73 as well. So, I mean, I see.
Yeah.
look, if you're gonna go this far, I'm gonna tell you, use Alan's psychology, because that's what it's gonna do. You're lowering $1 million number to the high end versus the low end. It's psychology.
And that's why they charge $9.95 for things instead of $10.
Yeah.
Oh.
But, I mean, that still would leave us what, there for CIP?
I think Todd's cranking that.
Back in the numbers.
Or Jeff, do you know?
892,200 plus another 150 in the site maintenance.
1.04.
So total capital in our proposed budget would still be 1,042,200.
It's better than 900,000, right?
It's actually a little bit more than that because I was able to move some things, for example, into equipment, vehicles, things like that we purchased.
Right, in other places in the
In other
budget.
places in the budget.
Okay, so
Make the motion, big boy.
what's the motion?
What was that, so, we just said this,
876, right?
Yeah,
876.
reduce 4,600, 450 by
76.
876,000
Correct.
to reach 72 million. Well, I'm gonna forget that.
No, no.
Sorry.
You made the motion, Peter?
Peter's making the
Oh,
motion
no, do you
now.
wanna,
No, you make the motion, go ahead, you go,
Okay.
get there.
okay, so reduce it, 4,600, 450
By
line
876.
by 876.
Jeff, do you just wanna check the math on your site, just to make sure?
Yeah, so we started with a budget of 73,975, you took 100 out, right?
73,975 minus 100.
Minus
We're
100.
we're at 875, yeah.
Yeah, so you're at 73,875, minus 876
Yeah,
is gonna take you to 72,999,000.
And that was Alan's thought process.
yeah.
Well, I think his original was.
All right, so hold on.
It's
So
72,975.
Peter, do me a favor,
You know.
just for the purpose, let's give that motion again.
Actually, give me one moment to rejigger it. How's that?
This is the new line.
Oh, that's how I want to get to the line, thank you. So, to reduce the
4,600.
4,600, 450 line to $892,200.
892,200.
Yeah,
So your motion wasn't seconded, it is now reduced 4,600 by,
Second.
to 892.
892,200.
Yep, 892,200, and that's it.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Peter and then Alan. So now, does everybody understand? This will drive our proposed to 72,999.
999.
No?
Well, let's
Give me the,
let-
hold on, just,
You guys all yell at
give
me.
me the, it'll drive it down to what, 72,900,000,
We haven't done.
Where are you?
29.
999,000,
okay, exactly.
exactly.
Everybody got that? Everybody have questions? Does everybody seem to be okay with that? And that gives us $1 million,
Correct.
okay?
Need to vote, right?
Pardon me?
We need to vote.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I'm just making sure everybody understands it, if there's a question. All right, all those in favor? Hold your hands up. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then all those opposed, you got 1. And I'm not sure, do we want to record names at this point, just in case?
No, because, well, what I'm doing is just, in this case, we have one again, so if I
Okay,
record John, I have to record one else.
all right. So Brian, you can go back to the other meeting and tell them,
Well, you did, yeah.
Well, don't,
We want to get the recommendations. to-
yeah, we gotta recommend for the warrant articles, right? Do we need Brian for that?
we'll keep them.
Go through these things.
All right. Only the money ones. So Article 2. So, I'm not gonna reread the whole thing, but we're gonna replace that 73,975 with 72,999,000. And then the operating budget stays the same. So, with that being said, all those in favor of, what's the right word?
So,
The amended Article 2.
Recommend, to recommend.
yeah, to recommend.
Okay, all those in favor of recommending Article 2 with the new proposed 72,999,000.
He's voting.
Yeah, I'm
He's
going,
in.
let's
Oh.
go, I mean, let's go.
All right, so it's unanimous.
Unanimous. Excellent. I didn't know if you had a question.
No,
Capital Reserve Fund. So we didn't touch this one,
But it's,
pardon me?
it's money, right? So we-
Yeah.
We gotta vote.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
So, all those in favor of recommending Article 3? So Jeff, we have unanimous. Article 4, all those in favor of recommending Article 4, raise your hand. That's the teacher contract. Good. 5 is,
Special meeting.
Special meeting till the vote.
why are we doing that with no money?
Only the ones with the red,
Oh, we don't do that, yeah.
only the ones with the red on.
Article 6 for the roof. All those in favor of recommending Article 6 going forward?
If
If they make that
if they-
correction.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
just put it in your minutes, then, like that. Can you do that?
If they,
Can we do that?
You recommend again.
Proposed budget
after-
fails.
Jeff says no.
No, you have to do it based off of what you have, and then after deliberative, when it gets
We can
changed,
revisit.
revote it.
So here's what we can do. We can vote to recommend, and in our meeting minutes, put the note that we want it edited at deliberative to include, shall this not pass?
the default, if the proposed budget fails, you know, that's correct. We can-
I'm not sure, do we want it to, or do we
It's gonna
expect
get
it
changed
to?
anyway, so why vote
I'm
for it
just
now?
saying-
Let's recommend
Yeah.
it at deliberate, after,
But if it doesn't change at deliberative, do you still think we should raise the money for roofs, separate, in a separate warrant article?
Sure, why not?
no.
Why not?
Yeah.
If the voters vote
Default-
separately.
Default, the budget loses.
Oh, I
Voters-
thought you were saying if the budget
No, I'm saying
passes.
No.
as written, I
No,
said.
that, as written, yeah,
I
that's a
support it.
pointless vote.
Yeah, but he's saying he supports it as written too.
I
Isn't that
support it
what
as
you're
written, because I want the voters to vote yes on,
Yeah,
if it
we
doesn't
wanted
change.
we wanted 1.9. Screw it, we'll take it.
But the-
That's
but
not
the-
a bad
Yeah.
point.
but the problem
It's
is-
not a bad point.
But the problem is that,
That's true.
assuming
Yeah,
those
so
roofs,
I recommend it.
assuming those roofs are
I'm
in
in.
really bad shape, if the roofs are in really bad shape, and I assume they are, school board's asking for over $500,000 to fix them, if we recommend this now,
That's what it's gonna stay.
and it doesn't change a deliberative, and the voters vote against it, then they can't fix them. Unless there's an emergency, and I think you gotta go to the DOE for petitioning and
So what are you telling us
crap
to
like
do?
that.
Bottom
I'm
line,
saying-
will you?
I'm saying,
Don't vote on it?
I guess I'd say vote it as it's written.
Yeah,
Okay.
Right, and I'm saying, and for me at least, I'd say I'm in favor.
Me too. Ding,
that's
ding,
what I'm
ding.
saying.
Okay,
Should we vote?
Okay, all those in favor of recommending Article 6 as
sorry, I'm
written?
long-winded.
That's all right, brother.
Keep your hands up.
I'm
So
here to
now
help
you've
you.
got,
Thanks.
okay, and all those not looking to recommend, to be 1. Okay. You got that, Jeff? 7 is nothing for us, 8 is nothing for us, 9 is. So, this is about the liabilities for the SAU retired folks. Everybody understand this one?
So I guess I understand that there's a number of people who are retired that we pay, SAU 55.
Give them the math, just so they understand it.
Each retired employee gets $1,650 per year, as I recall. Or a group of them, group of 8 retired employees for life. Okay? Our portion of that is, I'm not sure what the number is.
77%.
77% of that. So I also understand that there's one present employee who has enough years in so that she can retire and would qualify for the same thing today. So add her in there, you got 9 people. Our portion is $1,650 a year, and this is put it out 20 years. So we get to put it into a trust fund and just,
I think you have
It's
to
there.
go through to establish trust fund and just so everyone knows legally, you know what I mean, is,
Pardon me?
you have a
Wait, what?
contract, you don't need that legally. We're SAU 55 right now, so we always have to pay our bills.
Right.
well, the thing is, if.
Whether it's
So you're
next
saying
year.
this isn't
So-
This
necessary?
is, that's
Are
why
you
there's a
saying we
petition.
withdraw from the SAU, we're gonna stiff people for
We
retirement?
can't, the court won't let you.
Right, so,
Alright,
so
that's-
this is just
Wait,
fine.
if this is a petition, we don't make a recommendation.
So all this is
We do, because it's money.
all this is to fund it once, and then, it's like a divorce, I think.
So you're
I've
saying
never
that-
been divorced,
So
but
this fund
you
will
want
will
it-
take
you
care
want it
will take care of the next 20 years, is what you're
There's
saying.
nothing in there, who's gonna be the
Right,
trustee of the
done.
trust fund and all this kind of stuff. This
Does
is
it really
not-
say
This is
that?
not quite right.
It does say,
This is what happens with
Individual
petition.
district.
it does say the school
To fund
board
expandable
can,
trust, okay, trust fund, to authorize the two months.
Yeah.
We're paying it today, we'll pay it after, if it goes through.
You have to
It's
do it.
already
You're-
being paid
You're
now.
on
I
the
don't know,
hook.
I don't,
You're on the hook.
we're not
15
skipping
years down-
anybody, I don't know.
15 years down the road, if we withdraw, who's
Can
gonna
I ask
remember
a
it?
question? How do you know that?
I know what.
Well, how do you know?
We have the obligation now, so.
There you
We
go.
do, but
Right.
how do you know what's gonna happen? Let's say it all passes and the withdrawal passes.
Mhm.
How do you know what Hampstead's gonna do? Do we
They're
know what
obligated,
Hampstead's gonna
they're
They're
do?
obligated
obligated to
too.
keep paying that, so.
Do we know they're not
It's
gonna come after
contractual.
us for this or other things?
It's part of the plan, and they approved the plan.
Yeah, we, in our wildest dreams, could we walk away from any of our obligations? You can't even dream of doing
So we'll just keep paying that 77% that we're
whatever it
paying
is.
today.
Of
Yeah.
course it is. Anything you're legally entitled to, of course you have to pay the bill.
Yeah.
There was a one-time
Just don't
payout
do it.
of the 220 that we could pay out.
Anyone
one
who's
time,
serving the
not
school board shouldn't
carry
have to
that
wait for a
obligation.
lawsuit from
Right.
Hampstead. You're gonna pay the
But-
bill. You owe the
We're
money.
But we wanna carry the obligation over the
You know,
course of
We're
time?
not saying we're walking away from.
If you
it.
need
have
it,
to.
if it's real obligation.
No, I'm saying, you're
Do it
saying that
any-
there was, during your committee meetings, there was an option
Option?
where
There would-
we would pay it all out
There-
and not have to have the liability hanging over us for 20 years?
Yeah, there was a, what the total would be for us over.
Present value of
Present
future
value.
obligation.
Yeah,
In that
So-
present value.
so it's a present value, or we can pay it and keep
Do
paying.
you know what that
installments.
present value number was roughly?
Yeah, that's a guesstimate.
Yeah. There's- The actuaries, right?
I just can't believe.
This
that.
is a guesstimate.
Which is why I'm against it. You legally cannot.
Do we have an actuary table on any people?
You
You
just- you
That's
can't
what
avoid
she wants to know.
obligations, period.
We
Whether
do.
that says 128 or 220.
So what's-
You can't avoid it.
I have an actual evaluation done. I do, yeah.
I mean, there is that point. It's 228,000 on a number we don't know how accurate it is.
Right. Given good health care, people might live 30 more years.
Might be 28 cents. Don't know. This whole thing's guess. And if it's, and whatever your contractual obligation is, you
You're
don't
gonna pay it
need,
anyway,
you
so
have
what,
to pay it.
so what
You don't
is
need
this?
this.
So what is this?
So Peter, your thoughts on
That's
this? Do you need it?
I think it's an estimate, and,
It
And
is an
it-
estimate, but is it needed if we have to pay our obligations anyways all the time?
You wouldn't have to go for the, you wouldn't have to assess it from the taxpayers.
right, you're just getting it done once and walking away from it.
It's not walking
It's
away.
clear.
We're not walking away.
It's
You
a,
don't walk away from it.
it's a funded.
And I don't know if this
Have
is
the
legally
money
right.
Available, not taking.
You're just
from
walking
the
away, and
tax-
trust
then
and
you
all
can
that
walk
kind of
away with it, from it, instead of
Who's the
having to
trustee?
deal with it
Yeah.
every year.
Who's the trustee? Who's holding the money?
Where is this budgeted?
That's gonna be me,
in
it's
the
gonna be
SAU
right in my
budget?
Jamaica
No.
account.
Doesn't
Oh,
Who's
have all of it.
investing
The
it?
money
I'll
that
go
we pay
through
out,
Jamaica.
and we're
Who's
obligated to
That's what
pay
I'm saying.
in
This
the
is-
SAU
this is
budget.
a wing it.
It's
This
it's
is-
other obligations.
This is thrown on here so we can go against the withdrawal. Let's call it for what it is.
So in
Okay,
the
that's what that
future, it
is?
would be
Of
added,
course it's what it
if we
is. That's what they
separate,
both
it
have.
would be
100
added
guys,
to
they both have.
our
Oh,
That's what you guys voted on.
salary
That's
line,
what they,
or
trust me.
benefit line.
Anything
In the
that's
20
against, that's what you're voting on.
In future budgets,
Petition
this
is,
would be
your,
included in the
your elected
2,900.
officials, Hampshire elected officials,
Yeah.
are
Or
100%
we would
withdrawal.
offset the revenue with the
This
tax.
group, just to support a
We
petition,
wouldn't send the tax bill to the towns.
that's what just that.
Actually, your elected officials are not 100% in front of,
Okay.
in favor of it.
I
Just
didn't vote
majority.
for, I didn't
Just
vote for the
majority.
100,000.
Mhm.
Don't yell at me.
So let's be clear, that's what's going on. So there's a hope that people, they're trying to make a big deal out of this thing. They're trying to
So
make-
I would say, I don't understand, I don't.
The intent is to
Just
establish
vote
a
on it.
fund to draw out those payments from, that we're currently paying now out of the.
I have no idea why
I do
we're
not
trying
recommend
to
it.
analyze the
Because I don't know
petition.
what the hell's going on.
I know why you're trying to analyze the petition, but I have no idea.
It's making me wonder, how much is this needed? If we always have to
And
pay.
the other thing, Brian's saying, who's the hell's, who's the,
It's just
who's the
a-
trustee? Who's, this
Well,
is so.
all your trust funds are held by the
That's not the
trustee
point
of
of
the
the
trust fund.
article.
Mhm.
Right.
And
That's not
that's
the
how that
point.
plays
The
out.
point is they're trying to set up a reserve.
I get that,
So
but-
that the money doesn't have to come out of
But
the
is it
tax-
legal? That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
What do we-
You don't have
Comes
to
out
have
of
the
tax base,
trustee.
everything's out of tax base, we do it next year, whatever. So what do you do, what do you do, it's discussion, what do you do if this is 100,000 low?
Then some point in the future,
Oh.
someone else.
So the
put-
petition is, again,
At some
do the
point,
homework.
let me finish. If you wanna ask a question, you're the
Okay.
answer.
Okay, let's hear
If you're
it.
short, then some point in the
See the
future, when you get to zero. Yeah, I was just kinda messing with their minds.
figured it out.
It was
Look at
fun.
me, I'm looking smart.
At some point in the future, if you run out, then Jeff points out that this trust fund has run out,
Oh.
we need to refund it.
And what happens
Put more
if the
funding in.
fund doesn't exist at all? He would continue to pay it though, as he's currently doing.
And assess the towns
Every year.
every year.
Hopefully, they remember it 10 years down the road.
And how much was that last year, Jeff?
Oh, it's 10?
10,000
Probably. Might be a little lower.
divided by the 4 towns?
So 10,000.
Yeah, so I don't,
Are
10
you
years
guys
is
following this
100,000.
now? On the $70-some million budget, are you with this now? You think you need this? Come on.
okay.
10 years from now,
Come
it'll
on.
be 100,000 that'll be paid out.
Should we vote? Recommendations?
You can vote, and so I'm just saying, what might happen to this at deliberative? If we get a split vote here,
Doesn't
changes.
matter, we
You know,
vote on
all we're
what it
doing is
says right
making a
now.
recommendation. We can't,
It's your
Yeah,
don't try to
recommendation.
buy
That's
yourself
right.
down and try
Right,
to
exactly.
Okay,
crystal
all those-
ball the thing.
I'm gonna call for the vote for recommending, for Article 9. All those in favor of recommending Article 9, please show your hands. 1, 2. Okay, all those not looking to recommend? Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get that, Jeff?
Yep.
And Article
That has
10,
nothing to do with us, right?
pardon me?
There's no, oh, this money, I'm
There's
sorry.
money.
I was looking at this page.
Article 10,
This is
Um,
quick, we're out of
I
here.
guess we can get
We'll be out of here in a minute.
You're going against withdrawal, that's what you're doing.
this is not going against the straw.
Okay.
No,
Well, how so, Brian? I don't understand that.
which article, which?
Well, let's think about
Please
this.
help me.
His bottom line is,
By
if the
petition
money's
of
in-
who?
Wait, what
Do you,
article?
let me ask you, do you think Rob Collins is for the withdrawal or against it?
What does it matter?
Didn't know,
It
that's,
doesn't matter.
We're,
Do you understand what's
clearly
going
you're
on?
for it,
of course I'm for it.
so why is it any different than someone's against it?
No, but because I'm very honest about it.
Okay,
So what happens is, there are those people that are making up numbers. At least he's gone down from $1 million, because he's 6 months ago, it's gonna cost you $1
But wait a
million
minute,
bucks.
how
Oh,
would
wait,
this
that-
get the appearance to a voter that this is against the withdrawal? That's what I want.
Because we already had it in the budget.
But they don't know that. They don't,
They don't know that, they haven't been paying attention,
Well,
it's come to budget committee meetings, it
It's
comes up
buried
at
in,
school
it's
board
not
meetings.
budgeted anymore. Buried in the law.
You just took it out.
right,
You just took it out of your.
but you admitted earlier that not that many people do pay attention, right? So
Right.
the odds are that most
What-
people
what-
didn't know that that
What is the
100 was
biggest
in the
thing going on,
budget.
what is the biggest thing going on at Tim Lane School District right
You
now?
can't recommend if you took
What
it
do
out of the
think
budget,
The
right?
biggest thing in what?
On the warrant,
Well, I guess you
on
want
the
the
warrant,
voters to vote
on
on
this
it.
ballot, what's the
the
biggest?
withdrawal.
He won, first guess! You think the voters are aware of the withdrawals on the ballot? Does anyone question that the voters are aware there's a withdrawal article on the ballot?
I don't know.
No,
You don't?
they don't.
You don't think so? Okay.
Actually,
I could
Okay, so
I could
I'll play. Yeah, they
find
do.
15
No,
people
no,
no.
driving
No.
down my street that have no idea it's
Yeah.
on
But
the
they
ballot.
have no,
That's
they have
exactly
no
what I'm
idea,
saying.
and they'll
Okay.
see withdrawal and
I
they're
don't know
gonna
about
think.
that, I think
Okay.
people know, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
There are people that don't know there's 4
I
towns.
think there are a lot of
Oh,
people
yes.
that are gonna
Hey,
say like,
I just interviewed a person today in the assistant business manager's office from Woburn, Mass. She knew about it, and was asking about it.
You're against the withdrawal.
I know,
Okay.
but there's a.
I don't care. The only thing I'm against on the withdrawal is the fact that Timberlane's gonna end up having to pony up almost $500,000 of extra money a year.
No way.
For
Not
what,
even
for salaries, or
Hold
what?
on.
Not even close.
Oh, let me finish, Brian, before you jump on it. So right now, there's 18 and a half employees in the SAU.
Correct.
The withdrawal committee did an org chart, the future state, with us replacing those 18 and a half with 18 people. Building's the same, servers are the same, software is the same, but we're losing $500K a year from Hempstead. So you tell me how it's not gonna cost the voters. That's the only thing I care about. And frankly, I'll be honest, I can afford it. I don't
know,
really,
the other
it
thing,
doesn't, you know,
also say it does cost us $500,000.
a year, every year.
But doesn't it make it we can control our district better?
Yeah.
No,
That's the thing.
It's not.
Hey, I'll go on record, I'm voting for withdrawal.
Me too,
But I
I
agree that people should know that it's gonna come with a cost.
I think it's gonna come, I
I have no problem with
We
that.
have no
I
trouble.
think that all.
They've heard it 101 times.
I think in all the towns,
That's wrong.
from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
town
yeah.
level
I
to the
think it's a
school level,
benefit.
people should know that this is going to have money
There's no
associated
for
with
it.
it.
Yeah, they've heard
And
it.
they won't know it if we put buried in the budget.
Let's just call a vote. Call your vote.
No, that really kinda turned me.
All right,
See, I don't know the whole thing there.
So, all right, but everybody understands what we're
I
doing.
just have one kind of done.
Alan, Peter, Troll.
Go ahead.
So you need to separate them.
That's where
So
I'm
there's two
coming
things I need to say. They always need to be separated. I tried sitting, so my only thing is, having a citizens petition come forward with this money that we already had in the budget, now we've removed it,
Yes.
makes it look like the boards didn't do their job and didn't expect this funding, and we neglected part of our role. Because even though we had it in the budget, a citizen came forward and was trying to fund it again. So it doesn't look good for this to have to be funded through a citizen's petition.
When it was already funded.
Well, yeah, it was already funded, we've talked about it
It
in our
hit-
mail.
really
It wasn't
didn't
hidden.
matter.
It wasn't hidden.
99.9% of this voters in this district don't watch these meetings, don't read the budget, and there are people saying, oh, this withdrawal is not gonna cost
And
anything.
I would have
You
supported
need to
that.
put it out.
I would have supported it if it was a school board
Right,
article
yes,
as opposed
But
to
it
a
wasn't.
citizen.
But it wasn't.
Right, it wasn't, because we built it into the budget, because
And you
we,
were told by the lawyers you couldn't.
we couldn't put it, but if
no, no,
this was a
he's
separate
saying if
warrant.
this was a separate warrant article
Right.
from
And
the
why
school
didn't-
board,
And why didn't the school board do that?
because you're for it.
Why didn't the school board put the 100 grand in? What did the lawyer for the withdrawal committee say?
No,
You couldn't attach
put
it to the
in
There you
that
go.
You
warrant.
couldn't attach it to
There you go.
withdrawal, but
You
you could
couldn't
have
put
added
it
a
in the
second.
withdrawal warrant, you could
You
have done a
could've put
separate
second
warrant.
one right under that. Article 7 could have been if that fund, if that passes.
So in other words, for the same reason that you're claiming that this is clearly someone who's against it, you not putting the warrant article on
So
the
you think
voter
the school board have to
ballot
talk about
means
it
the school
publicly?
board is totally for it, and that's why you didn't put the money on the ballot. It's the exact same argument, it's just the flip side, Brian.
I just politely, respectfully disagree.
Okay.
If,
All right.
if we
And
didn't
that's
talk about
okay.
it, I would agree with you, if we
Okay.
try to hide it.
Okay.
But
All right, has everybody said I'm gonna look for the vote for recommending. All those in favor of recommending Article 10, show your hands. Hold them up so Jeff can
And
catch
I will say I recommend it because now that we've removed it, I need that money to pass.
you. Okay, and all those looking to not recommend. 1, 2, 3. Okay, those are all our recommendations.
So was that 5-3, is that what it was?
Yeah.
5-3. All right, so then you're leaving, is that correct?
Send them all out.
I will do that.
Not till this fall.
Looks like so
So Brian, are you gonna let them know that the budget is down,
Oh.
72999?
Oh, yeah.
If they wanna vote, then they can.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
Have a good night.
So now we're down to,
Adjournment.
So we have a January 23 meeting, which I don't want to cancel at this time, just in case something changes in that room that warrants
Between
us.
now and then.
Certainly.
Now, we'll have changes 5 minutes from now, when we adjourn.
Right, no, so just don't think.
Could be.
People ask me, well, do we need it? I don't see a reason to need it. It's a placeholder, and based on what comes out of that meeting, if nothing substantial, then we'll kill it. Sounds fair?
Just keep me in the loop.
So I'll be down on St. John in the US Virgins next week,
Yeah.
but I'm available to call in if you guys would allow.
So while we have Peter,
I'd love to
just
have
in
you.
case we were to meet next and don't have a quorum, we should
So,
definitely.
do we
get
have a
the
quorum
minutes, right?
without Peter? We got,
Uh,
we got
we're-
6.
We won't meet again until
Yeah.
after deliberative?
So, yeah, don't do the meeting minutes now. Right.
Oh.
All right. So that's the discussion of January 23rd meeting. I'm just gonna keep it as a placeholder right now. So now I'm gonna go back to number 4 and the meeting minutes of November 14th and December 12th and December 16th. God bless you all with your memory. December 16th.
So I make a motion to approve them all.
Yeah.
Well, I
I second
just,
all
I
of
have just one thing about the December 16th, it's the attendance piece. It says Julie was not in attendance, I know she arrived like 10 minutes before we adjourned.
And
But she-
wasn't Kathy on the phone?
Kathy was not.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry, I was
December
looking at
16th, but she
Julie
did,
David arrived at 9:09.
she did get recorded in a motion to adjourn as a voting member.
But it says she arrived
Oh, yeah, it's on
at
the back
9:09.
page.
So she's recorded on the vote, you know, to adjourn as a voting member, but it says she wasn't in attendance. So should it be moved up that she,
Where does it say she's not in attendance?
not in, December 16th,
Yeah,
not in attendance,
but it says she arrived late.
underneath not in attendance, so should that be moved up to her being
Oh, I
in
see what you're saying.
attendance, but not arriving until 9:09?
All right, so,
It's just a,
got it.
it's a
Jeff,
sticking point.
are we
Are
handling
we sure
not
that meeting,
attendance?
Kathy,
Should be done with
was-
a roll call.
did she not
Yep.
vote
Just
on
move
the
it.
budget
Well, look
over
at
the phone?
Julie, if you shut up on.
There was
time-
only 7 votes
would be it.
recorded on all
I
the other.
know.
Oh,
My
it's,
goodness.
That's what we're doing.
it was the 12th that she was on.
Exactly.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes.
All right, John, is that your only?
Yeah, that was the only thing, it's just
Okay.
a matter of form, in the format,
It's fine.
because she
So-
was recorded as being.
Who was the second on that motion?
I'll second.
So John first, Todd second. And that's just to move Julie from not in attendance to the roll call with the timestamp. So now, is everybody comfortable if we do a blanket acceptance of all three?
I'll have to abstain because I didn't get to the 16th.
You don't have to abstain.
You don't have to abstain, you can still watch the meeting and do the minutes, but we can do them separately? You wanna do them separately?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Let's do separately?
Takes 30
Okay.
I
seconds.
withdraw the motion.
Fine. So, Peter, would you like to make a motion for November 14th?
So made.
And Julie, did you say you're seconding it?
Sure.
So that was Peter and Julie, and keep those names there because they're gonna do it for all of them.
Yeah, right.
No, that,
So,
I
Alright,
can't do
so
it
that's-
for the last one.
Okay, but you can make the
You
motions.
can make a motion.
All right.
So for November 14th, to approve the November 14th meeting minutes, all those in favor? So you've got unanimous. Peter, would you like to make another motion
absolutely.
for December 12th?
December 12th was one of my favorite meetings.
And Julie, did you second that one?
Yep.
There we go. All those in favor of approving those, raise your hands, and that is unanimous. December 16th, Peter?
It was almost as good. No, not, yeah, okay, yeah,
December
yes.
16th
Yeah, that was almost
Is
as
a
good.
motion by Peter.
Yeah.
Julie, you wanna second that one?
Yep, I'll second that.
Makes it easy for Jeff. Okay, all those in favor of approving the December 16th meeting as amended?
thank you.
Yes?
Yep.
As amended. Please raise your hands. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 abstentions.
Yep.
There we go. All right, so that takes care of item number 4, item number 5. Item number 6, I have nothing in the parking lot. So just remember, we're gonna find out what the school board does. And if any new information develops, we'll keep January 23 open. Other than that,
Anyone going to go next door and observe?
okay. So, motion to adjourn, Peter and Alan. All those in favor? Done. Peter and Alan.